これにちは、これにちは。 I see. Vilken där nu? Alright, so you guys know your parents seen you, right? Your parents seen you and we live. Yes, we are. Right, I'm having a smooth access. Okay, let's start again. So, start again. Alright, I think I can do that. So, mm, okay, I have to do it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, that's a little better. Alright, so we are about to start. You're still having fun? Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. We have 7 minutes before we start. Um, okay. Participants. Hey, what's up? Can you get what? A mouse? You have a mouse right here. That thing that you're touching. For that trackpad, right? Same thing as a mouse. But you want a mouse to shoot. I didn't get the batteries as yet, so I don't have any mouse. Let's see if I can leave this thing now. Leave meeting. Alright, that should this should be off. Should be able to close this. Alright. Alright guys. So thus far it's been a wonderful start. Okay? And I just wanna give you all the floor. Right? Because we've only started. We've done like about 30 minutes of learning already. Right? And I'm pretty sure that you guys will know. So I'm just gonna ask you all just to say one thing that you learned so far. Right? Can I pause the game a little bit? Tell me one thing you learned so far. One thing we learned, just one. Yeah, not talking.
I say
Computers are fun. Alright. That's good. How about you?
computers are like phones.
I like phone. Very good. Phone is a computer. Very good. How about you? Any one thing you learned today? We talk about US. You said that, right? So what have you learned? You learned that the OS on the Mac is very refined. Gives a very refined user experience as opposed to that of Windows. Right? Anything else you learned? No? Right? How about you? Very good. Very much. Different shape, different size, different form factor. Right? Here's some of the form factors that you would have learned, like this one, right? So this was called this is here, desktop PC, right? This is called a power. Right? This is your motherboard, your CPU, and so on. Right? This is called a tower, right? Now, before it had laptops, it had these things. Right? And then you get the laptops coming after, right? Right? And nowadays, we have extremely powerful laptops like this given one here. And we have some very interesting computers. For example, the tablet form factor that we have in the corner right here. And here, we have what is called a tablet PC. It's a 2-in-1 where you can disconnect it and use it as a tablet if you like, right? And you connect it back and you get back a computer. So you all learn about the different form factors. You learn that computer is fun, right? You said you learn that computer is exactly like a phone. Okay? Phone is also like a computer. Right? We talk about the difference in the operating systems that go on the devices, right? Right? And you all so far have been having fun, and now it's time to learn again, right? So we have on the screen. Since computers come in all these different flavors and shapes and sizes and so on, right? What really is a computer, right? So we get into computer hardware and computer listers, which is just the first week of this camp, right? Right. Right, so that's it on three. What is a computer? It turns out, and it don't matter size, shape, the form factor, there's a simple definition for a computer. Right? And anything that operates in this way, right, is defined as a computer. The first one is, okay, it must have input. Can you touch the screen on your phone? Can you type something? That's the input. Right? When you speak, your voice is getting into the device, right? So that's input. Right? And you could speak to the device and it does something. You could say, hey, send a message to mom, tell her, I'm hungry. Right? Okay? Right? So all those is different forms of input. When you take out your camera and you start to record, that's input too. Right? That's the light from inside the real world that you and I exist, entering the device and being digitized and giving you the image you see on the screen. Right? So we have input. Right? The next thing is output. Right? You can record yourself singing a song on your phone, right? And play it back. Right? So this playing it back, where what you just put in could come back at you, that's called output. Right? Anytime you touch something, you move the mouse or whatever, and you see the little cursor move on the screen, what's that? That's output. So once you do something in response, some event is going to take place on the screen. Right? That is output. Right? And is what we call processing. Okay? You all don't get to interact with the processing a lot. That's why you're going to learn coding, right, in this camp. Right? So processing speaks to whenever you touch the mouse, right? What happens is that there's an electrical signal, right? Anytime you touch the mouse. So the act of me touching the mouse right now, right? I'm not sure if you've seen it on this side. There's an electrical signal which is being sent to the processor. The processor is that component which is responsible for doing this. And it's possibly the most important part of the computer. The processor. Right? You're going to get to see what that looks like. We're going to take it out today. Right? So that electrical signal, when the processor gets that electrical signal, right, it knows how to act on that information that it receives. Right? So it basically creates a response to that. Okay? And it then triggers an event. Right? It causes the screen to change. It gives you the audio that you're listening to. When you play a game, right? And use this virtual character in the game and you press the mouse and it's supposed to jump. When you press the mouse, what is happening? An electrical signal is being sent to the processor. When the processor accepts that electrical signal, it says, oh, this means you want the man to jump. And all of a sudden, you see the avatar jump in the game. So that is what is happening underneath. Every single input has to be processed in order for you to get the response that you desire. Right? So you want the man in the game to shoot the gun, right? When you press the trigger for the gun to be shot, this is what is happening. You pressing the button, an electrical signal is being sent to the processor, and the processor know exactly, okay, right? You need to shoot, right? And you immediately see the man shooting in the game for you, right? Okay? And then there's storage, which is something that you're all most familiar with. All your pictures that you take save on the device, right? Yeah? About your songs, you all download songs, you all download videos. I don't know, Ariana Grande or Rihanna, Jay-Z. Who you all listening to these days? I know you do sing, right? So you have a lot of answers for those questions. What about you boys? What do you all listen to? What songs you all like? You don't know what songs you like? Huh? What videos it does go on? What videos? What comedian it does watch? You that little boy from South? Huh? Who does talk, right? But everybody does watch his videos. Huh? You all never watch that? Right, so you have to download these things and save it on your computer, right? The act of saving it on your computer, on your cell phone, whatever device, right? That's called storage. So this is how we define a computer. No matter the shape, the flavor, the size, the form, right? Any device that provides the following basic functions of input, output, processing, storage. We just described how your phone does these four basic things. And hence your phone is also a computer. Yeah? Alright. So, take a look at that. Looks horrible, right? Look how big that machine is, and this man standing there. Huh? It's like them old libraries. You have these big things with shelves with all the books. You kind of stand up looking at one of those shelves. You see what I'm going on? Suppose I tell you, first computer ever made, that's what it looked like. Yeah. Almost as big as a building. So this is first generation computers. You see how big they were? Second generation computers, they get just a little smaller. So now, it's like a table size. You see it? From big as a room to now a table size. Like a little table on top of the table. Right? So this is the second generation of computers. So from as big as a room to about the size of a large table. You all seeing that? And then we have the third generation of computers that resemble closely what we have today. This is when it starts to look like what we have today. Right? This would be like a tower thing, that thing on here, and then you have your monitor. Yeah? And then you have your keyboard. So you all see the keyboard that you all have, only have the mouse and so on. Right? So this is the third generation of computers. Let's go forward. Right? The fourth generation of computers is where this all interesting processor, or what we call a microprocessor, came into being. Every computer that you all have in front of you, every computer that is in this room, is a part of the fourth generation of computers. You know why? Because they all have this chip in it, which is called a microprocessor. Look at it. Right? So they have this little chip on the inside, right, which is called the microprocessor that we're saying is possibly the most important component of the computer. Right? Alright, so here we have the generations stacked up. So we're talking about the fourth generation. So we saw a picture earlier that looks like this. Yeah? And then we just fast forward about 10 years in time and see what it changed to look like. Bam! That's what it looks like here. Right? This is now exactly what you are familiar with, and then you are familiar with the laptops as well, right? And so it turns out that the fourth generation of computers, right, is what we're still interacting with at large. This is what we still have in the offices, in the schools, yeah, in your bag. Okay? That's what we're talking about, right? This is what we expect when we see a computer today, right? Talking about the fourth generation of computers. And you know what? These computers serve us very well because we are using the fourth generation of computers to create a fifth generation of computers. You all have any idea what that is? Anybody? What is screen? AI. That's why this is so important. The world you all gonna live in. To survive in that world, right? Almost everybody has to know programming. Yep. That's the future. right? The world we're living in now. You can be a cashier, you can be a security officer, right? You can be a janitor, you can even do office work. And you don't really have to understand how a computer functions. No real reason to, right? But guess what? AI is taking over all the jobs. The cashier job, the AI doing it. There's a robot you could buy that is a janitor. It goes and clean your house. You all ever see that robot?
Yes.
So the janitor ain't gonna make no money again. But yeah, what? You don't have to be janitors anymore. If the robot doing such a good job, no problem. You all gonna be the ones to service the robot when it break down. Because you're gonna have the skills to do that. Yeah? So whoever went to the hotel and there's a little desk with a nice lady, most times it's a lady. If I went to the hotel and there's a nice desk with a lady in front and you all had to talk to the lady to get a room, right? With your parents. You'll never, okay. Right, when you go to school, there's a main office and the principal have a secretary, right? And you'll have to go to the reception and speak to them when you're all registering for school and stuff like that. Same thing. But tomorrow, you know what's going to happen? There's going to be a robot doing that job. Yep. It's already happening. That is the need. How are we making these artificial intelligence machines? We're using those things in front of you to make it possible. Right? So we're saying the fourth generation of computers, which is what we have working with now, is spawning a fifth generation of computers. And the fifth generation of computers, we're going to be calling them artificial intelligence machines. Yeah, big thing, right? There's all these movies out now about AI and what it's doing, and so on and so forth. Hey, baby, what's up? All right, you want to close the door, right? Close the door. Close the door. Right. So let's take a look at it. These is all the different types of computers that you all might have interacted with at some point. So let's go from the left. From the left, here is called a microcomputer. This is extremely small. As a matter of fact, the whole computer is kind of fit into a keyboard. So you see this keyboard thing here? The whole computer is fit into it. We get one step larger, right? Kind of looking like a book, and we call it a mini computer. Anybody think they have a mini computer here?
Yes.
All right. All right. Then we have a personal computer, which is these things on the ground. Right? You can see the tower there. That's the tower. Right? That we're going to be dismantling. Right? And then there's analog computers. This is very, very old. Very, very old. Right? Any of these that still remain is going to be in some museum somewhere. And they're not even going to allow you to touch it. Yeah. Because if something happens to it, it can be hard to fix because it's so old. By the parts fit. Right? And even more interestingly, this one here. You all ever seen this computer before? Nobody? No. Alright, this is called a Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi, yes. So, who here have a phone? Right? You're not going to be able to do it. I'm going to have to give you my phone. I know you have a phone, right? So we're going to talk to the voice assistant. Ready? Everybody can take out the phone. So now I hold this little button, my voice assistant come up and say, "Hey Google, what is the Raspberry Pi?" Right?
Pi is a series of small single-board computers developed in the United Kingdom by the Raspberry Pi Foundation in association with Broadcom.
So just like
The
that.
Raspberry Pi project originally leaned toward the promotion of teaching
Even more
computer
information than we
science
need.
in schools.
Right? So you can see the picture, it looks identical to what we see here. You see that? So now, what I just showed you there is that we're living in an information age. Information age where back in the days when I was going to school, I had to go and sit down in the library. No? Yeah, I had to ask the librarian and tell me to reach someone public shelf for book that I can even like do short reach. You're also fortunate. Right? Before, when computers don't come out, you have to type the words. You would have to ask me, so how to spell Raspberry Pi? No, you don't even have to know how to spell it. It's so easy. You just pull out your phone, you tap one button, and this intelligent voice assistant is ready for you. That is the AI. Yes. That's the AI. And you say to it, where's this thing? Bam! Right? So I'm going to talk to you and tell you this thing come like your one personal teacher. Always there when you call. That's the power that you all have at your fingertips. And I'm going to tell you that this little device, right, is possibly right now one of the most important little devices for engineering and design. They build a whole satellite out of this thing. Yeah, set it up and it's that serious. There's robots on Mars right now. This computer is what is controlling. And this is so small, it's about this size. So you all get the idea. We're starting on the left, which is kind of large, and you can see the miniaturizing that is going on as we go to the right hand side. Now let's take a look at this. This is a regular laptop that you all know, right? Aha! You get into something else. Tablet now. Right? We didn't see that before. Right? Right? So we have notebooks, netbooks. Netbooks is the kind of smaller ones. Right? To the notebooks. But those you have are called notebooks. Right? Right. So this here is called a Delta computer. And to the extreme right, we have a supercomputer. And right here, we have a supercomputer. Just by the word super. You don't think you could fathom what a supercomputer might be? Well, for starters, the world's fastest computer in the world is valued at over $200 billion. And that's US, not TT. Okay? Right? These giant corporations like Google and so on, the AI that we're speaking with lives inside of those things. Yeah. So when we speak to it, the phone is actually connecting to our server, which is where one of these things are. Okay? And it's sending the information to the server, and the AI is receiving it and know what to do, and send back the information on your phone. Bam. Yeah? Cloud. It's like called cloud computing. Right? So the device you have in your hand don't need all the computational horsepower at all. It's possible to leave all the horsepower on the cloud. So you could walk around with something cheap. And through cloud computing, you have access to millions of dollars of computing hardware on the cloud. So you now design this for the apps. So you all have apps that you download that does exactly this. Right? It don't require the processor in your phone to do the processing. Right? The processing is done on the cloud via these things that we're talking about, supercomputers. So we see and we get an idea of the general flavors and sizes and shapes, right? And how do we refer to them? Okay? Now, there's a next type of computer systems you guys don't ever get to see. Yeah, it's called embedded computer systems. Yeah. So, in the car, there's a chip which is responsible for running the whole engine, you know. And the engine can't work without that chip. So you all don't know, but now you know it. That in your regular car, sometimes there's about 4 computers in that one car to get it to work. But you don't ever get to see it. Because it's always tucked away somewhere that only technicians and mechanics will actually go and interact with that computer. This is what the computer looks like. And all the wires that are coming from the engine plug into this. Right? So our engine can't operate itself. Right? The engine is just mechanical components. It needs something to cause it to work. And all this time, you all didn't know, but you don't know, computer is responsible for the engine in a car working. How crazy is that? Huh? If you get in an accident, the airbags, the safety bags that deploy to save you, is a computer that does that. Deploy the safety bags. Almost all the safety systems in a car. Right? There's fancy cars like the Tesla. Right? The AI is right in the dashboard for you. Yeah? Your intelligent, very own intelligent voice assistant is right there and much more. Right? You can control the entire functionality of the vehicle from that touch screen. Right? So what happens is that all these computer chips inside the car, right? They basically build an operating system so that you could have access to all those computers simultaneously, and you could, change whatever bits and pieces and get the car to work more in how you want it to work. Right? You can set the doors, you can set the windscreen, you can set the wiper blades to be automatic, so that when any kind of rainwater fall on the windscreen, the wiper blades automatically come on itself. How interesting is all this? Huh? Nowadays, the new cars are coming out now, right? These cars have automatic headlights. You don't have to turn on the headlights again. There's a sensor that is assessing how much light is in the environment. And if the sensor detects that together, it automatically puts on the headlight for you. Right? That's what is happening now. Everything is being automated. And what's the reason for it? Computers. All the time. But nobody took the opportunity to tell you all that even the car relies on computer. If it's not there, it can't work. So what I'm talking about? So this is an eye-opening lesson. Let's move forward. So we spoke earlier about how important this is, right? Robot on Mars being operated with this chip, right? This microcomputer, as it is so called. Well, there's many different size, flavors, and form factors of these microcomputers. If you all want to be electrical, mechanical, chemical, petroleum, right? Industrial, avionic, you name it. Engineers. You're definitely going to be working with this. Right? So, look at how small they are. These ones with the blue base is called Arduino. Right? And in the factories, right, depending on whatever school you all at, in the factories, you all might get tours to the factory. Right? You know, in the factory, there's very dangerous processes happening. Extreme temperatures, chemicals that human beings can't come in contact with. Right? Safety hazards, things flammable like gas that can ignite. Right? Unfortunately, someone died from an explosion 4 weeks ago. Yeah? So you all had to learn about these things. These things, right? Basically, you could set up the whole factory, right, to be automated. So you don't have to put a real human being in that environment where there could be loss of life. So that's how important these things are. And they're called microcontrollers for a reason, right? They're able to control anything, automate anything. You're going to learn the programming that is necessary, right, to connect these things, right, in the real world and allow them to automate basically any process, right? So you're going to learn that. So, back to our personal computers. So, remember we were saying that Apple kind of led the race? Yeah? So, you can see that in the top right hand corner, right? So, they kind of pioneer the personal desktop or the personal computer. And then you get to today's times, what it looks like, right? So, we still have this right in front of us, right? And you using this one, right? You're using that one. This is the iDesktop, which we do have one here, right? But you all must have seen it some days before, right? Right? So that's the different types of personal computers. All right. Now, whoever been to Caribbean Airlines? Right. Very good. All right, let me give you our next big business. Aha. This one is good. Movie job. All right. How about Cinema 8? Which is Trin City and South Park. You all know what I mean? Right. Right. You see all those big businesses that have to produce tickets, for instance, you go in on a flight. You could stay from in front of your computer here. You could go on the website and purchase your ticket right here. And all your information, right? Your ticket is processed on their side. You just have to bring your luggage. They give you some instructions, and you bring your luggage, and all that information is there that you already paid. All your credentials is there waiting on you, right? You just have to sign up a little form and thing. When you reach, and bam, you're inside, right? So you don't need to drive all the way up in traffic to go in the airport to buy the ticket. Long time days, you know what we used to have to do? We didn't have the luxury of just sitting on the, okay, I need to get to the beach. Right, I have a flight book, and 6 o'clock, somebody gonna bring me up the road, and I'm gonna jump on this plane, I'm gonna go to the beach. Just like that. So easy it is. Back in my days, we had to find what is called agents. Yeah. And these agents now, you could go and book a flight. So you go by the agent is the one who's specially trained to book the flight for you. But now everybody can do it. Right? And what makes large businesses work is these special type of computers. They could be as large as a filing cabinet. You can see it here. And they kind of miniaturize it to look as small as this, which is this one magnified on the side. This is called a mainframe computer. Big businesses that do large-scale transactions, transaction processing, whether they're selling something or anything to do with money, the banks, they rely on mainframe computers. So, bank is a mainframe computer that is holding your account information or your parents' account information. And every time you go and swipe the card, it keeps track of this. And it's doing the math. Everything is automated. Right? So that you will be able to see the balance, and then we get a statement at the end to know, okay, you spend here, and you spend there, and you spend there. And there's a description of, everywhere you went and spent a certain amount of money by swiping your card. Yeah? This is what is doing all that. So when you go up on Caribbean Airlines, and you want to buy a ticket to go to Jamaica, you go and we buy the ticket. Right? This is the computer that is processing that transaction to make it possible for you to stay here and do all that. Right? That's the power of technology, and that is the world that we're living in now. So, mainframe computers, right? You're going to remember that? Right. Now, the world's fastest computer. So I cannot magnify the image of a picture that you all saw before. Right? It's called the Summit. Yeah? You all want to interact with your phone and ask the AI, what is the Summit? You all want to try that? So we're seeing the specs here in the corner. This is the processing speed. It's 200 petaflops. Right? This peta means you're multiplying the number by 10 a certain number of times. Right? Yeah. Right? So that would mean you're multiplying it by 10. So let's say we get a number, 2.5. This peta in front here, right, means you multiply 2.5 by 10, 12 times. Right? Or 9 times. Right? Or 6 times. So if it was megaflops, it would have been 6 times. You multiply it by 10, 6 times. Right? Then you have gigaflops, which is 9 times. Yeah? Teraflops, which is 12 times. And you keep going up. So this number here is symbolic of a mathematical operation, but you all don't know that yet because you're not exposed to that level of math. So I'm just breaking it down for you. Right? So what it means is that this computer could do 2 100,000 trillion different calculations per second. Every second that goes, it is able to do 200,000 trillion different calculations. That's mind-boggling. Yeah, so everybody in the world could be using this computer at the same time, and it will never slow down. You will never start and move slow. Because it is possible to do all that amount of calculations in any 1 second. Everybody in the world could be connected to this computer and using the computer. You're playing a game, you're doing a thing, you're watching videos, right? Everybody in the world. And it wouldn't budge. That's how powerful the world's fastest computer, which is called the Summit. The price of it. You can see that?
200 million.
200 million US dollars. Very good. You Google it. Right? 200 million US dollars. If you were part of the engineering team that built this computer, how much do you think they was going to pay? You can retire early, you know.
10 million.
Alright, 10 million US sounds like a really good figure.
20.
Well, you can rock back. Right? Let's say designing this computer take about 5 years. And you get that money. Right? You can rock back, you know. Yeah, so budget yourself, do a little thing, invest a little bit, you know. You can rock back when you don't do that one work. Right? So, you are getting the skills. Right? So that you all will qualify to be a part of the teams that is breaking down barriers and doing all these great things. This is where it starts. But unless you all come to a camp like this, you will not be exposed to these things. And that is the disadvantage. Right? You can't wait until you get 20 years before you're now learning about this. So by the time you're 20 years, guess what? You should have already been close, right? To getting on board. Let me say, anybody here would like to work for Google or Apple? You think Apple pay their engineers well? You think Google pay their engineers well? I know specifically that there's a young boy who had thousands of US dollars every month for working for Google, right? He's a child prodigy, right? And that's what this camp is all about, right? It's about exposing you guys to these things as early as possible so that you all can learn it quickly. And by the time you're all 14, you're all doing things that university students do, right? So we're accelerating your learning. You have something to show me? Right, that's it. Summit, right? So moving forward, we were talking about that we have to tear down this computer. And when we open the computer, we're going to see this thing inside of it. It's called a motherboard. Right? It's called a motherboard. And the motherboard have different components on it. We have some labels. Right? If we see what's going on. So this little white thing is called a power connector. Okay? This is how the board receives its power. So what happened? You see the outlet that the charger is plugged into? Right? That outlet plugs into this thing in the back of the computer. And from this thing, which is called a power supply, there's the wires that connect directly into these things. That's how the motherboard receives power. We're going to pull it down now. You're going to see this now. Right? Then we have the processor. So when you get inside, you're going to be identifying these components. You're going to be taking it out. Alright? You're going to be doing this yourself. Then we have what is called the RAM slots. This is where we put the random access memory. Right? To run your programs and your games. If you want to be a DJ, right? RAM is important to the computer, right? So when you're running your programs, you can be opening multiple programs at the same time, right? You need a lot of RAM, right? Because RAM hold the programs that is currently operating. So we talk about the processor already, right? Let's take a look at some of these other components. So we've seen that we have what is called I/O. So I/O is short for input output. So these are the ports that is responsible for all your input and your output and connecting you to the network. Right? And then we have these slots which is called PCI expansion slots. Right? So you all remember how we connect that tablet PC on that side to the dock? Right. You see that pin that it's connecting to? That expand the functionality of the computer? It akin to this very same thing. Right? Which is called PCI expansion slot. So don't worry. If your computer didn't come with something, that's okay. You could buy that component to operate through these things here. Yes, so let's say you didn't have a HDMI. Well, you could buy a PCI expansion HDMI port and you just connect it inside here and bam, just like that. The port your computer was never designed with, you don't have it. So that's what we mean when we say expanding the functionality of your computer, right? Then we have IDE, right? So we also see that there's something called a CMOS, right, which is what holds the memory on the BIOS and so on. We're going to talk about that when we get there. And the processor is fitted into a socket. So remember we were saying that you need to know how to order the correct thing. You don't want to buy that computer chip that can't work in your computer. So you have to make sure it's the right chip. And this is how you know it's the right chip. This word called socket. Right? Every processor is built to fit a specific socket. Right? So you all ready for it? Right. So we have right now, right here. So we have our screwdriver, right? And we have these computers. So what we want to do is check them out very quickly, so just to make sure that they're posting. I'm going to connect one of them to our thing here. Yeah, it's connected at the moment. We're going to put power to it. So let's connect it up, guys. And we're going to see what's happening, right? We're going to change the source. Let's see. So just put power to the server here. And I'm going to change the source, right, to VG. Because VG is how that one is connected. Okay? I'm going to press the power button. Let's see what happens. Alright, so we press the power button, you're not seeing anything happening. Let's make sure that this power cord is good. We're going to take the one from this side. Put it back first. Let's see. Alright, so as you can see, we're not getting anything on this one. Let's go across on the other one. Let's see what's happening. Right. Right, so this one posts, okay guys, this is how coming on, it's flashing. We're gonna see points with the signal on the screen. So this popcorn will be this one. Alright, so when you press the power button, it did come on, right? You can see that. Right, it says that it's restoring power. And check that. On this one. Alright, so I just checked that one over. And this one is working for sure. Right? And most likely the other one have some kind of issue, right? That we're gonna go inside of it, we're gonna see what's going on inside. Right? Alright, so we're gonna start with this one. You're gonna work as a team to dismantle this one for yourselves. Right? This one here. You're gonna work as a team. Remember how important teamwork is? Almost nothing profound that has ever happened in this life.
Teamwork is beautiful.
Teamwork makes it work. Very good. Right? Right, so I'm gonna focus on what he said. Right, I'm gonna be demonstrating with this one first, guys. Right? Just gonna get one of those decks. Back. Yeah. Yes. So let's put it on top so that you guys can see it. Right. So we should be good here. Right? Just gonna put it on top here. Right? Alright, so let's check it out. So you all will see that we have some ports here, right? We have USB, what would have been a sound card, and your audio jack, which is a 3.5 millimeter port. Then you have your power button here, right? And you can see that there's a light. So you can click to reset, or you press the light up to tell you that the power is receiving power, right? If we go in the back now, we can see all these other ports, right? Now, we would have seen that earlier on the screen. Anybody remember seeing the IO on the screen? Anybody remember? Right? We would have seen the IO on the screen, of the IO, right? Which is these things that we're looking at now in the back here. So you can imagine, right? If these things in the back here and it's connected to the board, right? You all can see that the board is resting up. Right? The board is flat, moving all the way across here, resting on this side. You see that? Right? So we have the IO, so we have some USB ports, we have the Ethernet, this will be a sound card on the bottom, we have VGA, the both male and female. Right? This is the parallel port, and we have what is called PS50, which is plug and play. Very old keyboards and mouse use these connections. You all possibly might have seen computers, right? That have mouse and keyboards that connect to these things, right? Those is old ports, which is called PS2P. We don't really use them anymore, right? Right, so we gotta get inside of this thing, right? So what you need is your Phillips head screwdriver, right? Pass it around. You can see what it looks like. It's called a Phillips head screwdriver. Yeah. Phillips head screwdriver. Right, take a look at the head of it. Right? This now is a toolkit that has many different Phillips heads. Right? And I can show to you. Right? Take a look at different various Phillips heads. Right? Take a look at that. Awesome. Yeah? So that's the same thing as this, yeah? But some of them fatter, some of them a little smaller, right? Alright, very good. Alright, so just gonna put these back. Sorry. Alright, so I told you before that this is like a automated version of this. Okay? So you're gonna be learning how to use this and then how to use this. Right? So this here, in order to connect this piece that spins, from move it in one direction, you will see it light up and you can get the thing spinning. You see it? So notice it's spinning in one direction. What direction is spinning? Anybody seeing that? Right, it would be clockwise from your one. Very good. Right? See? Definitely clockwise. Yeah, how's that? Yeah, so the clock actually goes in this way. Right? So you only got it right. Right? So it's spinning in this direction. And if I engage this lever, push it in, all of a sudden, remember we were spinning this way before? Right, the opposite way. Right? So that's what this lever does. Right? And in the center, if you keep the lever in the center, right, it doesn't press. You have to push it extremely in or extremely out to get it to spin. Right? Now there's gears on top. Right? So you can see that there's a first gear, you're gonna have to upgrade this thing. And then there's a second gear. And what that does is basically the speed. You can see how fast it's spinning now. In the second gear goes up in the first gear. So the first gear is really when something hard to come out, and you need a little bit more force, which is what we call torque. Spin it and take it up, right? And then the second gear is when you wanna back out something real fast. So you see a screw that is fast inside there, you wanna back it out fast, quickly. Right? This is when you put it on the faster speed. Right? It will spin out faster. Okay guys? Alright? So let's see. So what we want to do, we want to disconnect these two screws on the back here, right? So we basically just stick in the screwdriver in and we turn. You can see that it moving out. See that? Voila. Right, and we stick the screwdriver in this side as well. And you can see it opens out very, 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 very easy. Yeah? We have those two. Now, this whole panel comes off. This whole panel is held in place by just those two screws. So we can take it out now. This is the ear duct, it's like a vent. This is a fan inside here, right? We want to have the fan in there. Right? So let's see about that. And then you all can get to see what is inside of it. Finally. Right? Let's take a look. So you can see that there is something connected in the PCI Express slot. So remember we were saying that these things are called PCI Express or PCI expansion slots, where you can expand the functionality of the computer. So if it didn't come with a certain port, you could actually buy that port, right? And see what that port was, right? Forgot about it. There's this port right in the bottom there, which is like for your phone. Yeah? So someone bought this PCI expansion slot so that they could connect their phone to the computer. Yeah? So that's what that was, right? So PCI expansion slot. You can see now that we have all these wires coming from this thing on top here, which is called a power supply. So your power supply is where the plug from the wall goes into it. So this first receives the power, and then it's able to distribute the power to the motherboard. So let's take a look at the motherboard, guys, and we'll see that these main wires coming from the power supply, you're seeing that, is connected to the motherboard right here. Everybody see that? Yeah? And that's exactly this thing we were talking about, power connector. So one of the first things we can do is to disconnect that from the board. You can see we disconnect the first one, we disconnect the second one. So now we have removed the power that goes to the motherboard. Right? So the motherboard can do all the power. Right? So we're just going to disconnect all these cables, just like that. Right? Some of them can clip, press the clip, you pull it out. Right? That's what we do now. Right, so we're going to disconnect these ones on top for the driver as well. Right, so you can see now basically all the wires, right, leading to the power supply is now free. Look at this. Just show this thing out. All these wires from the power supply is now free with the exception of this one. Right, so I'm just going to take out this one as well. It's a little clip, you're going to give you this face up, right? So you always need to pay attention. So look at that. All the power wires are disconnected, right? Let me just type it around here. So these wires coming from the power supply, they all disconnected. So that's basically the first step to be taken. See it? Alright, so inside this one and that one, we're going to look at it different. Right? So you'll get an idea of what the inside of this one looks like. Now you all can see, check it out. In that is the CPU. You see the CPU? This thing here, the processor. Right? Check it out. You all seeing it yet? This thing now is called the socket. So you can actually press the clip and pull it the other way, and that frees up the CPU processor, right? So this is the processor here. The thing that is on the outside is called a thermal compound. Right? It's a compound which is responsible for transferring the heat, right, from the chip, right, to the heat sink, which should have been connected to, right? Now, before I pass this to you all, I'm just gonna clean it up a bit, right? Before I pass it to you, right? I'm gonna take out that thermal compound that you guys should interact with it a little bit. So this is the socket as we were saying, you see it? No two sockets is the same. When you buy a motherboard, one of the specifications when you purchase a new motherboard is the type of socket that it has. So remember the type of socket that it has tells you what type of processor to work in. Yeah? So if you have a 2 GHz processor in your computer right now, and you're not upgrade, yeah? You can't just buy any processor fit in this socket. Yeah, so you see how this socket becomes an important parameter for choosing the right processor. Yeah? You see that? Alright, so you can identify the CMOS, so the CMOS here. You see that? Alright, so the CMOS was at the bottom here. You see that? You see the CMOS? The CMOS, right? Yeah. Look at it on the board. CMOS. Yeah? Alright, you all see the RAM slots? You see RAM slots here? This thing here, running all the way down, that's the RAM slot. Just press the button, guys. Right? And actually, I can take out this RAM chip. Let's take it out. So we squeeze down. Everybody pay attention to this. We squeeze down on these ends. Press and squeeze. Press and squeeze. Now, do not hold it like this. Right? Hold it end to end. And I'm going to explain to you all why it's important to hold it end to end like this. Okay? This is the chip here, end to end. So we're not touching very sensitive. Yeah, press and squeeze to free it up. And when you free it up, you hold it end to end. You can hold it like this, and you can hold it like this. Right? Don't ever hold it like this. Right? Because if you're touching those sensitive electronic devices, those chips, sensitive chips, right? You will damage them. Right? Something called static electricity. And that's quick, that's easy to explain to you guys. Anybody here have sweaty hands? Well, we all have sweaty hands. Because our hands, right? Just pause. You're not seeing what's going on. What's going on? Some video. Alright, so is it off? Is it off? So the computer controlling you. You control your computer. Yeah, I've seen it, but there is no updating on this. This computer. Yeah. As you roll it down. was saying, right? Our hands produce just a little bit of moisture, right? You can't see it with your eyes, right? But if you're going to school and go in the bio lab, under the microscope, you will see the little bit of moisture that's being. Some people have it worse than others, right? Really certain. So they have it so bad that you can actually see the moisture on the hand, right? If you touch it, it might feel horrible when they touch you, right? But not because you can't see it, the moisture doesn't mean it's not there. So if you touch it with your bare hands, what are you doing? You're transferring the moisture, right, onto these very sensitive chips, right? And that's going to introduce some static electricity that can damage these things if you don't handle them properly, right? If you stick it back inside here, it's not going to be good. Okay? Right? So these is all a part of the skills, right? That you all must have to do this math. Right? So we don't ever hold it like this to touch the sensitive chips. We hold it end to end. If you hold it like this, end to end, right? Or like this. We never hold it like this. We must squeeze it, right? Right? Because we really don't want the moisture from our hands to get onto the chip, right? Alright, so we just took out the round chip, right? And I rest it right here. I'm gonna pass it around to you guys in a minute. You want to take a look at it. Now you can see this PCI expansion slot here. I just pull it, right? So I can kind of breeze and pull out this thing here, right? Alright, so you can see somebody expanded the functionality of this computer. And now I'm going to be using the automated one to assist, right? So that we can take out this thing, right? So which way is the unscrew? Now take it out, which way is the unscrew? So or so. Very good, right? Anti-clockwise, right? Which is this direction, right? So when you are operating this thing, you'll be sure to remember how quickly it comes out. You want to see that? You just stick it up, back, just like that, out, right? So this frees up that compartment so that I can take out this piece here that was so this is called, listen, right? This is the PCI expansion port, right? So this fits inside of here, guys. Take a look at it. Check it out. See how it fits? Right, so this here lining up with that. It fit inside that. Right? And then you can see what functionality it provides here. It gives an additional port that the motherboard didn't offer from the manufacturer. You understand? So this is what the motherboard offered. So this thing at the bottom here is that functionality we get by the PCI expansion slot that we see. Now in this system, we have two PCI expansion slots. Here, as a matter of fact, this is our next one. So we have one, two of the white ones that we see in there. You see it? We have a blue one. We will talk about that at a later date. So I'm gonna pass this around. We'll take a look at it. Right, this is a PCI Express card, Ethernet card. And I'm gonna pass the RAM chip around, and you'll remember how to handle the RAM chip. Right? End to end. End to end, so you can do it like this. Right? Take a look at it. Read the information in it as best as possible. See if you can read the info in it. Right? You get that already? Reach to you fast. What do you info and see? You think you can tell me how much RAM that is? Read it. You not seeing it? Alright, pass that around. I'll show you all, don't worry. I think you're not seeing it, I'll point it out to you. Yeah? So I'm going to take the motherboard out of the computer. I'm also going to pass the motherboard back in, right? Right? So you're going to take a look at the motherboard. Guys, so this is called the power supply, right? I'm gonna show you what you would not seen before, right? So this thing that goes connects into your outlet, right here. Yeah, the outlet which is the one, right? You plug in your stuff in the one. It then goes into here, like this, right? Wow. Alright, so now these wires will have power, so they connect to the motherboard with the power stuff inside. Right? That's how this way. This is called a power supply. So one of the important upgrades in a computer is the power supply. You know why? Because if you're adding more stuff inside of it, ain't it gonna need more power? Because those new things that they're adding in, right? They're gonna have to get power too, right? So it's possible that you add, right, devices inside of it, expand the functionality of inside of it to the point where the power supply is no longer able to deliver that much power. So you might need to upgrade your power supply, right? So then we're looking at how to understand, right, the upgrade of your power supply, right? So we're gonna pass this around, we'll take a look at it as well. Mhm. Alright guys, so I have the motherboard here. I'm gonna stick it up against the screen so that you all could compare what was on the screen to the actual thing that we just put, right? Just put it. Alright, so check it out guys. We are seeing the name of the manufacturer for this one. The name of the manufacturer is ASUS. Anybody ever had ASUS computer at home? Anybody ever seen that brand before? Right, ASUS. Alright, so you can see in the top left hand corner, what do we have? The I/O. You see the I/O? All here is the I/O, right? Which is what we have here, right? Then you can see the socket, right? This little thing here with the knob to remove the processor in the socket. And the actual processor chip that we already took out, right? And we see in the RAM slots, right? We see IDE. There's something else which is here that we didn't see before, right? These are called SATA ports. Right? This is how like here comes the hard drive and so on. Right? Then we have the PCI expansion slot. We have your CMOS. Yeah? And we have like the power connector that I'm touching right now. This is the power connector. So you can see the very same thing on this one. See that? I'm gonna pass it around for you guys. There's some kind of sharp solderings on the back. Right? So just hold it carefully, hold it. Stick it like this, right? Look at it. You're not gonna stick it just so. You don't have to squeeze really hard for it to stick. Right? That's the motherboard. Right? Heavy? No? Alright, you pass it back around. Right, so you all saw the motherboard, right? So we're moving on to some very interesting other stuff now. Okay? So what do you think? Here's light. Hmm? Yeah, that is like the main component right here. And the main component is housed inside of the motherboard, right? So you can see how important the motherboard is. Every computer today have a motherboard, right? A motherboard. That's what it says right here. Motherboard, right? Alright. So for me to free up your space that you have in front of you. Right? I haven't passed around the processor as yet. Right? I'm gonna be doing that. I just need to clean up the thermal compound before I do so. Just in myself. Right, so guys, the compound that I just cleaned off of the processor, right? If you all can see it from my hands a bit, right? Is absolutely important. We don't ever install a processor like this without the program, right? The compound ensures that the heat is conducted away from the chip and is expelled by the fan outside of the computer. If the chip gets too hot, then okay? So I'll pass the processor around now. You can read the information on it. See what you can read. Yeah? What do you think? 100 years of research and hard work. People dedicate their lives to this thing. Right? And that's what it comes to today. That very small chip. Yeah? That is the brain. The whole thing. Right? Such a very small chip. There's even smaller ones. Right? There's what we call the Intel Atom. You want to Google the Intel Atom now. Everybody, Google Intel Atom. You'll see how small that processor is. Right? The processor in all your phones as well, right, is extremely small. Intel Atom. A-T-O-M. Intel. I-N-T-E-L spacebar. A-T-O-M. Intel Atom. You see how small it is? You showing it? Go to images. Yeah, so that processor. Maybe they don't have like somebody holding the half, somebody holding it in your hand.
What is Intel?
Kind of get an idea how small it is. Right, so it's even that small. Right, guys? So you think this is small? They've been able to get it even smaller. So remember, we saw this trend before, right? What's the trend? Computers was really big. Yeah? And it started to miniaturize. You follow it? They're getting as small and small and small as the phones we have in our pockets. Likewise, the brain behind it all, right? The processor, that chip, all important chip, is also miniaturizing. Okay? Alright, so moving on from the motherboard, we have some very important stuff that we have to discuss. Right? See what is happening with my slideshow. So we have what is called peripheral devices. Take a look at this on screen. So we have the peripheral devices, right? So the peripheral device, we have the hard drive. This is your floppy disk. That is your CD drive or your DVD drive. You have your keyboard. You have your webcam, right? That's your webcam. The speakers, the printer, mouse, the scanner, and the monitor. They all are peripheral devices. And you want to know what peripheral devices are? Huh? Any device that requires, right, physical connection, right, to your motherboard. Those physical connections come via, right, these cables and wires, and in some cases even wireless. Didn't you have a mouse that was wireless earlier in the class? Right? So all these wires, right, and cables and interconnects, right? They are called peripherals. And we need these peripherals in order to connect what? These peripheral devices to the motherboard. Right? They don't just connect themselves. So for instance, the hard drive. Take a look at the hard drive, right guys? The hard drive is this picture. Right? This is the hard drive. Right? If you look at the back of it, you're going to see that there's space for the cables to connect, peripherals to connect. So you see, that is not originally a part of the motherboard. But this is able to connect to the motherboard using these wires and cables and so on, right? So the wires and cables become the peripherals, and that device that is connecting itself to the motherboard is the peripheral device. Okay? Take a look at it, guys. That's the hard drive. That one heavy, yeah? Feel the difference? So you'll get an idea now that storage technology can be heavy. Right? Because that is a storage medium on the computer. Right? That's how the computer achieves storage, like for all your personal stuff, your pictures, and music, videos, your movies. Maybe you have movies on your computer. Right? Your documents that you type, your homework, right, that you did in school, that you might have on the computer, all that is stored in a device that you will just interact with. Right, so I'm holding the peripheral, which is the wires and interconnect, and is responsible for connecting this hard drive to the motherboard. I'm going to show you all how it connects up, right? Right, so guys, you was looking on this side, right? You'd have seen that there's these connections. This one here is what reads the information from it. Reads and writes the information. So it plugs in just like that. Got it? See it? See it plug in, guys? This is called a SATA cable. SATA cable. I showed you all the SATA port on the motherboard before. So this wire goes here. Right? This is creating a data link between the board and the hard drive. So let's get the board. You can see where the SATA connects to the board. So the other end of the wire, right? Guys, the other end of the wire then goes into this connection here on the board like that. Right? So you have a peripheral device, right? Because what? It requires cable wires interconnects in order to attach itself to the motherboard. See it? Then we have the actual peripheral, which is this cable. We call it a SATA cable. Yeah? At the ends of the peripheral, we have the ports, which is what we call the SATA port, right? So, take a look at it again. That's how we connect to the motherboard. Okay? You could move it and connect it to any one of those slots. Yeah? Any questions? Right? Now, the missing attachment on that motherboard is, right? On the hard drive is the power for the hard drive. I'm going to show you all how the hard drive receives power from the power supply. Right? Right, so just rest here. Look at the other side. See that little piece? Right? This is where this one goes into the power. Right? Yes? So guys, if you're paying attention, you'll see that the other missing peripheral, right, is actually a power wire. The wire that goes directly from the power supply to the hard drive in order to power it. You see that? So this is a very simple idea behind how these systems are designed. Right? There's wires that power the device, and then there's a peripheral that is responsible for communicating so that the hard drive could communicate with the motherboard. Get the pickup, right? Mobile. What is it? Yeah. Right, so, right, this is a very simple way how this is designed, right? It's not hard to understand. One wire powers it up, and the next one allows for the hard drive to communicate with the motherboard and vice versa. Right? Any questions? No? Alright, I want to show you all a next peripheral device. Right? Right, so this one is this on the picture. We did a circle thing on top, you see it? Right, which is your, in this case is the CD drive. Right, so take a look at the CD drive and basically have the same peripheral connections as the hard drive. Right, so that is the device, that's the peripheral device that reads the disk. Right, you can put that disk inside of there and you can load up that disk on your computer. Right? That device is what is responsible for interacting with the disk. But you want ready for? You want ready for? Okay. Here we go. We're not seeing the process first of all. Yeah? Very good. Right. Well, how long? Right, so what do you think about that? It's heavy? No? Alright. So you all know that you all have, so we dismantle this whole thing basically. There's nothing really remaining inside of it more than the student environment, right? And you all gonna have to build it back up. Right? I'm gonna be supervising you all as well to dismantle this one, right? And the insides of this one might be a little different than the one that we already looked at, right? I'm just gonna take a quick peek at it, right, before we dismiss the work, right? Some of your parents is here. This one is a little bit different. You want to see it? Yeah, but you all can identify the same parts, right? So you have the power supply, right? You see that? The hard drive, motherboard, you also have PCIe expansion card. You see it? And well, there's no CD or DVD drive in it. Yeah? So you're going to dismantle this next class. Alright? You're going to be identifying what's wrong with it. Alright? I'm going to build it back. Alright? So, if anyone you all have a computer at home, you can bring it to class. Alright? So the device. See, you have a broken down computer?
Yes.
Yeah.
The keyboards, no. The keys on the wall now.
On your computer?
Yeah.
Is that a laptop or on the
Laptop. Can I have a mixer?
Huh? I hear you. Water? When?
I get rid of it.
Water went in your computer room? So it's not okay? Okay. So that was a damage. It's something that possibly could fix it. Right? You're all encouraged to bring whatever old computers you have at home. Right? Whatever that is damaged or might need fixing, right? Because you all get enough hands-on experience. Right? You're going to be ready to take on that challenge tomorrow. Okay? Any questions? No? Alright. You all are dismissed for today. Right? Please get home safely. Right? The other students I like to think you're gonna fall in. Yeah. Yeah. Just close the window. Just close the window. Right, for the ones who your parents not here, you continue to line up with each other. And we'll start with it. Ready to go. Alright, bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Adios, amigos.
Yeah, we're gonna stop the live show.
Yes.